Okay, guys, sorry about that. Facebook's just giving issues, you know, and you know how you guys know how the internet is. So we're gonna pick up where we left off on Facebook. We were talking about the construction going on in Lansing Park. You were talking about that used to be the Parks Department's.
Right, right. It was, and then when the Parks Department was merged with the DPW, they kind of abandoned the building for a year there, and then they decided that they were going to create a spot for kids to go. They had pool tables in there and TV and different things that I think it lasted about 3 years or something, and then like a lot of stuff with kids, especially since the cell phones really became popular and the kids didn't have to go to any place to play games. They could play them right on their cell phones. So the whole lure of the place was just taken away from them, and they stopped going there. And then it sat in disarray for about 6, 7, probably 10 years actually.
Yeah, the entire time I've lived in the city. Yeah.
And they've decided that to bring it down, and they've bulldozed there was a large pile of dirt that was alongside of it, and they're looking at putting in a dog park and also expanding on the soccer fields over there. We did get a sizable grant to take care of some of the drainage issues that are in the parking lot. I mean, I know you in the summer after a storm, you don't even have to get down to the pool to go swimming because that parking lot is very very full of water. It gets very deep, and once it's there, it just hangs there. So that's another thing that's gonna.
Now the dog park has been talked about for quite some time.
Yeah, about 6, 7 years. I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah.
Are you for putting dog parks in other parts of the city?
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't picture
Because
everybody.
again, there's tons of green space, and
I don't picture everybody coming up to walk their dogs over there. Matter of fact, I've got 2 dogs, and most people see me out there with.
Yeah, if you're on Facebook, and you're friends with Bill McCarthy on Facebook, you definitely see pictures of him walking his dog.
I really enjoy walking them through this park, and
yeah, this is a beautiful park.
and of course
It's really bad. It's really. I mean, when I first moved here, and then again, this is coming from John McDonald's administration, George Primo's administration, Sean Morse's administration, and you've sat on the council for a few of those administrations.
well, actually just for Sean Morse's.
And then going forward now,
Right.
hopefully, the change in the progression that I've seen since I personally, my ex and myself, we bought a home in Cohoes because we were renters here, and it was a huge sense of community 10 years ago, and even to this day, there's not a part in the city I'm afraid, or my kids are afraid to walk through.
And that's good.
But I feel like we've lost that togetherness in the city, and it's been a rough couple years for the city for several different reasons.
Right.
The previous election, the primary being one of them, it really divided the city.
It did.
And one thing I want to try to do is bring that sense of community back. Give people good, solid information, facts, not my opinions, except for wanting Cohoes to be, how do you, I'm telling you, I love this city. I grew up in Albany, and I came here because of, everybody's got their ideas on our elected officials. Not one of you have ever not made me feel welcome. How do we get that feeling that you guys give to me and other people that come to the meetings? How do we bring the city back together?
Well, to tell you the truth, I mean, when administrations change, a lot of times you get a whole new group of people that are coming out and want to help out a little bit. Matter of fact, I've got a very, very good friend. Oh, he's a friend of my kids actually, who's a union representative with the Mohawk Paper Mill. And that union has taken on a stance where they want to help out, and they've done a couple of smaller projects around the city, helping out with. I really don't know what it was they helped out with, but I had spoken to him about in the parks, and he said he says that's a great idea, and he just started this like in probably I want to say like August. But by next spring, I expect that we'll be seeing those guys all over the place, and they'll be wanting to help and I intend to join up with them, and especially here in the fourth ward. I'd also like to see
The community get-togethers, things like
yeah,
that.
yeah. I'd also like to see the fourth ward and part of the second ward over here on Walnut and Chestnut and all that. I'd like to see them maybe get a neighborhood watch group back together. They had one here that was strong for about 7-8 years, and then some of the folks moved away, and you know it withered with them. But I'd like to get that started again, and I know we got a lot of new younger people moving into the block. I've met them, most of them in here.
One of the fastest growing cities in the state.
Yeah, yeah, and they're all happy that they've moved here, and I would love to see that continue.
So what do you see for the city going forward? What are some things that you would like to not only in your ward, but in the city, because not only do you represent your constituents in the fourth ward, but sitting on some committees, you represent the constituents of the city as a whole as well. So what are some of the some of the obstacles, and how you I know you can't speak for other members of the council,
Right.
but how you get there, how you make it happen, how we continue to make Cohoes a strong community, keep it on track for it continuing to be one of the fastest growing cities
Right.
in the state. I know the previous administration did a fantastic job on our business district, getting people in there, but we've got 5 other wards, and how do we continue progress in the rest of the city?
Well, I mean the progress that was made on Ransom Street was done mostly because the council did stick together on most of the decisions down there. There was a couple that maybe one or two of us didn't completely agree on, but it all got done, and what we need to do is come together on each ward has their own streets that need to be cleaned, their own streets that need to be paved, and we need to work on getting so many streets a year in each ward, not just 1 or 2 wards, but we need to spread out the paving a little bit more.
Pave a street in the first ward, then do one in the second ward, kind of a deal.
Right. I mean, mostly it's priced on lineal footage. So I mean, Columbia Street would be, probably 3,000 feet. So there's no place in the city that doesn't have a street that's 3,000 or 4,000 feet long. But you can't always do large streets. So one large street in each ward, and then it takes 10 years before you can repave them because of the CHIPS funding. So you need to pick a spot and get the biggest mess out of the way, and then branch off of that onto the side streets. Like I said, fortunate here in the fourth ward, we only got a couple of smaller streets that really need paving, but we do have Columbia Street, and that really needs to be paved.
Yeah. You do have a fundraiser coming up, correct?
I do.
Why don't you discuss that? Let your constituents and the viewers know how they can come see you, talk to you, and how they can contact you.
Tomorrow night at the Signal 30 on the corner of Columbia and Maston Avenue. It was Boyer's, and then it was the Pub Laurent, and then it was Marinucci's, and then there was a couple other owners in between. And it's been always been a good spot, and my very good friend Tommy Durant now runs it. He's a firefighter
Here in the city.
Here in the city, and as you can tell by the name of the place, he's
Signal 33. Yep.
He's proud of his profession, and I've been there a few times, and the meals are always marvelous. So I'm having a 2-hour-long fundraiser there tomorrow night. Tommy's gonna put on some sliders. It's not gonna be a full meal by any means, but he's gonna be putting some sliders out there with some brisket and a couple other little dishes to come over and try, and maybe if my fundraiser is successful, and people that haven't been there yet will come back.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be showing some local businesses on our page, highlighting some things, and I actually got to reach out to Tommy this week. I definitely want to highlight his place too. Is there anything that we haven't touched on that you want to discuss?
No. I mean, like I said, the public works, the fire department, and the police department, and everybody knows that they're the mainstream of the keeping things going in the city, and the administration is the ones that have to pay for it. And again, nobody likes a tax raise, but things cost more every year. Every year they cost more, and we've been fortunate in that we haven't had to have a tax raise. And I also remember times when they'd go quite a ways without a tax raise, and then all of a sudden there's no money to be had, and they need to have a significant tax raise. I think it was like 10 or 12% or something like that. But we can't let ourselves get into that, especially this day and age, because everything is so volatile. I mean, tomorrow the stock market could crash, and would be really stuck for paying some bills.
Real quick, since you touched on it, the city has done a really good job over the past several years of saving some money and getting a hefty general fund.
Mm-hmm.
Would you vote, or would you be against using some of that general fund to keep our taxes lower?
Well, of course, I
mean, I know
I'm actually very divided on that. But then I
did speak about it at the Common Council meeting and was abruptly.
I do think over the years, in particular down in Sargent Street, there's a tunnel that runs underneath the wall behind the building that they're constructing there on Sargent and Ontario Street. And one of the hurricanes, I forget which one, but it washed out a big portion of that tunnel, and it was right underneath that wall. And it was a very, very expensive fix. And fortunately enough, when the company came to look at building the building down there, the Mosaic Village, they agreed to fix that part of the structure, and they also moved the tunnel so it wouldn't be underneath that building. And had they not come along within the next year or two, we were going to have to do something with that, because it was getting dangerous. You could see the stonework on the canal wall was starting to tilt toward the hole in the wall there, and just would have been a domino effect, and we'd have been in big trouble.
Well, just so you know, I'm not talking about using the entire general fund. I know there's some. We'll just use an example. There's some positions that aren't expensive positions that, if the council felt were really needed, could be funded out of that general fund. I'm not talking about huge. I'm not talking about paying the entire DPW out of. I'm talking about, there's been a couple positions that the council's divided on, because having those positions would increase taxes. So what I was suggesting, even at the Common Council meeting, was using some of that general fund to fund those on a temporary basis, because there's even when I had conversations with Bill Keeler, he said, I don't know if I need that yet.
Right.
I don't know until I get in there. So if it's already there, why don't we keep it? And then 6 months to in a year, I can tell. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about spending the entire $4 million. That's not fiscal responsibility.
Right. And I do agree that a temporary hire through that fund would probably be okay.
And it wouldn't affect the city's credit rating,
right,
because we're investing that into our city. I'm not. And then again, I think, and the one thing.
But I do believe that there's only certain things you can use that money on. I don't think you can, because of the state. And like I said, I'm not a budgeting guy.
Yeah, you admit that to everybody.
I listen to Mike DeRocher, who's been our controller for almost 20 years now.
And I will tell you real quick, not to cut Bill off, but Mike, I have a management background. I run businesses, and Mike, the way he presents the budget proposal to you guys, it's like a business P&L.
It is.
It's the easiest thing, and anybody can read it. You can tell where the money's going, who it's going to, what they're using it on. And I think, and I always say, Mike's done a fantastic job presenting that budget,
right,
like you were saying.
And he, I'll listen to him way before I'll even listen to myself on budgeting stuff. I mean,
so you feel if Mike
is the expert.
If Mike says we need it, you feel that because he's been doing the budget for the city for 20 years,
right? And he's always had the mayor's input into what the mayor wants, and of course he's going to lean a little bit toward what they want. But Mike's main focus has always been on the money that we have and how not to waste it.
I think again, I have to give credit where credit's due. I think the city's done a fantastic job at saving that money. Mm-hmm. It's grown huge in the 10 years I've lived in the city.
Well, I mean, when Mike first came in, he came in when John McDonald came in, and we were in quite a fix at that time, and it didn't look like it was going to be able to be taken care of for many years. And once Mike got in there and started seeing what we had coming in and where it was going, he made some changes and switched some of the funding, not the sources, but the where the funding went. He switched some of that stuff around, and he was able to.
It's only been 8 or 9 years since John was mayor.
Well, John's been going for 7 years now, I believe.
Yeah, so in 8 years, and again, I'm a factual person. I'm not trying to give you guys my opinion. In 8 years, the city grew a general fund to almost $4 million. That's huge.
When John left, like I said, he left I think 7 years ago. But from 2000 up to that point, I'm pretty sure we were in quite a deficit, especially the first couple of years, and they were able to build that up to I believe it was like $1.5 million or maybe $2 million when John left. I always attended common council meetings way before I was on the council, and then after I retired, and I didn't lose interest in it, but I just couldn't find the time because it's hard to be retired.
So let's you have a challenger.
I do.
In your word. In closing, I just want you to tell your constituents again a little bit about yourself, why they should pick you, and again, early voting started today. Actually,
yes, it started.
Yeah, at 9 a.m. you can actually vote at Bout. The City of Cohoes residents can vote at Bout Fire Department. Right. You can go. You can actually Google New York State early voting. The New York. I think it's Albany County Board of Elections page will pop up. Type to show you right. It lists all the communities, and it'll tell you where you got to vote. All residents in the City of Cohoes vote at Bout. They do have particular times that you can go and vote. So with that, why don't you?
So anyway, I've appreciated the last 3.5 years serving the city, and I've always responded to telephone calls, and to tell you the truth, I don't get that many, but the ones I do get, I've responded to them, and there's a couple of them still out there. We have one little spot where we got some flooding issue, and it's late in the year to be working on that, but next year when the new administration comes in, I hope to get moving on that a little bit more vigorously and get that taken care of. It's not a major flooding issue, but there's folks that can't use their yard because of it, and it needs to be addressed one way or another. And it's stuff like that I like doing. We got another spot over on Western Avenue where the town of Colony has a drainage line that comes through, and it's been disrupted by one of the bigger storms that we've had, and the resident is worried that his not so much his foundation, but just his property is being affected by it, and we are working on getting that addressed. As a matter of fact, I got to call the guy and let him know where that is, because he's been talking to me about it since I think August, and I lost contact on what was going on with it. But now I've I found out what's going on with it, and I'm going to be giving him a call. Matter of fact, right after we're done here, so I can before I forget. I like to forget stuff.
So the why I believe your opponent's Chris Deming, right?
Chris Deming,
Yeah.
yes.
So why should they test their?
Well, I listen. I don't know the guy.
No, I'm not talking. Why should they? Why should I vote for you?
Well, because I've been here and I'm out there working for you. I've been on the previous administration about a lot of stuff that for the most part is unseen, except for by the residents who it's affected by. One of them I had to produce a flyer and bring it, and I had to give it to a whole common council to look at it and to see what the mess was. And I believe once I made everybody aware of what the real mess was, it got taken care of very quickly. And it was a couple different spots like that. I mean, I don't like to I don't like to get in arguments with people about stuff that needs to be done. In particular, I don't like to argue with a mayor or a fire chief or a DPW commissioner or a police chief. But if I have to, I will bring this stuff to the light of the proper people to make sure that it gets taken care of.
All right. Well, Bill, thank you for taking an hour out of your time to talk with us this morning.
An hour?
It's been about an hour to talk with us, to give people a better insight of you. Again, we do this unedited. I will not edit any of this. Right now on the video, we're about 22 minutes. It won't. I want people to see you, present you to them, and let them make their decision that way. I do thank you for your time. I thank you for your past 4 years of work to constituents in the 4th Ward in the city of Cohoes, and we wish you the best of luck November 5th.
All right, thank you very much, and again, I'd be happy to serve for another 4 years.
Real quick, how can your constituents get a hold of you?
Most people know that if they really need me, they can find me out walking those dogs of mine. But my phone number is listed on the city webpage. And most people in this city know somebody that has my phone number.
Bill did make a great point. Anybody that's listening, you can reach any council person. Their contact information is on the city website under departments. There's a common council link. Please feel free to reach out to your council member. I will be reaching out to the rest of the I believe Steve Napier, Don Russell, Bill Smith has agreed. I think Bill Smith and I are going to do something this coming week. And Chris Briggs. So again, we wish you the best of luck, Bill.
All right,
I thank you for your time, and
thank you for taking your time to do what you're doing.
I appreciate it. Everybody have a blessed day. Remember, there's no strangers in Cohoes, only friends you haven't met yet. Get out, see a local park. This park is absolutely gorgeous. It's come a long way in the 10 years I've lived here. You see garbage on the ground, pick it up, make Cohoes beautiful. We'll talk to you guys later.